How much content should Battlefield 5 have, and how much content is enough content in general? I remember when shortly after Battlefield 1 was released, people started to notice that the game is a little bit stale when it comes to the amount of content, especially compared to previous Battlefield titles. For example, the first thing people complained about were the weapons. We didn't get many of them. At launch there were something like 24 primary weapons, which isn't a lot for a Battlefield game nowadays. But the thing that really pissed off a lot of people, at least me, was the absence of weapon customization. In Battlefield Hardline and Battlefield 4, for example, you could fully customize your weapons with a lot of attachments, for example different sights, scopes and suppressors, different muzzle brakes, different grips, you name it. In Battlefield 1 we were introduced to weapon variants. Same weapons but presets to fit a certain role better. For example, you had a trench variant for certain guns which had increased hipfire accuracy but reduced aim down sight accuracy. For most guns you had about 3 different variants, so at first glimpse you might have think, oh, that's a lot of guns, but when you look a bit closer, it's kinda disappointing. As for the maps, nothing special there. Battlefield 1 shipped with 9 multiplayer maps, and quickly after launch we got the 10th map for free, called Giant Shadow. Now pretty much all Battlefield games come with 10 multiplayer maps at launch. The biggest problem with Battlefield 1 though, in terms of the maps and the additional content overall, was the DLC distribution. You see, we got the first Battlefield 1 expansion pack, They Shall Not Pass, which is the French DLC, after 6 freaking months. This was a big mistake on DICE and EA's part, as the player base was reduced by about 30% during this time period. When it comes to the game modes, Battlefield 1 had 6 of them at launch. Over the course of Battlefield 1's lifespan we got 4 additional game modes, so 10 in total. Which in comparison is not a whole lot if you look at Battlefield 4 for example. Though some people really like this, because that means that the player base doesn't really get split up that much. I don't know if that was the reason for the lack of game modes in Battlefield 1, or if DICE thought that the new Operations game mode would fill that gap. Nevertheless, we ended up with 10 of them. Gadgets got reduced the most in Battlefield 1. Now this could be because the game is set in World War I, and back then you didn't really have a lot of things that could have been seen as gadgets, but still only about 20 gadgets can be used in total in Battlefield 1, including gadgets like the ammo pouch, ammo crates, medic crates, etc, etc. As for the single player, in Battlefield 1 we got introduced to war stories. These are short campaigns from the First World War. Although I really like the idea of following multiple stories, which gives a lot of freedom and exploration when it comes to covering certain parts of the war, we only got 6 of these war stories in Battlefield 1, including the prologue Storm of Steel. Now luckily DICE noticed that the community was complaining about the lack of content, so they started opening up the valve a little bit. After the Russian DLC we got more and more content, though the distribution was still weird as hell. Like 1 month we got the first half of the Turning Tides DLC, the month after we got the second half, and a month later we got the Apocalypse DLC or something like that. It was really weird. Now after almost 2 years, Battlefield 1 ended up with 31 maps, including the 2 Air Assault maps, so basically 29. Now I gotta say, 29 is a lot. When it comes to the weapons, Battlefield 1 currently has 86 unique weapons, so that's not counting different weapon variants. It does include the tanker and pilot weapons and the elite class weapons like the Villaparosa and the Tangaver for example. Again, 86 is a lot in my opinion. And like I said, we ended up with 10 game modes in total. Sadly though, and this was really disappointing, we didn't get any new war stories for the campaign. Now obviously single player content is much more expensive to make than multiplayer content, because the studio needs to hire actors, voice actors, probably make a whole new scenery, because most multiplayer maps are essentially reworked single player maps. And this sucks because the war story concept is perfect to distribute over multiple DLCs. All in all, after almost 2 years, we did end up with quite a lot of content. Yes, we are still missing big features like weapon customization and stuff like that, but honestly, it's better than nothing. In my opinion, the content distribution was Battlefield 1's biggest problem. We needed to get some new, cool, fresh content way earlier instead of after 6 months. Because of that, when it comes to the amount of content, I give Battlefield 1 a rating of...
Hello, old friend.
Now going back a couple of years to make the comparison and answer the question how much content is enough content, we're gonna take a look at Battlefield Hardline. To make a long story short, at the end of Battlefield Hardline's cycle, the game ended up with around 100 or 101 weapons, so about 15 more than Battlefield 1. As for the maps though, we ended up with 27, and that's 2 less than Battlefield 1. We also got something like 30 to 35 gadgets in Battlefield Hardline, so that's almost double compared to Battlefield 1, and we got 11 game modes. Do note though that we didn't get air assault in Battlefield Hardline because there were no planes. The campaign had about 10 missions, or episodes as they call it, because they kinda wanted to replicate a cop drama. Now the DLC was distributed a little bit better than Battlefield 1. We got the first DLC, Criminal Activity, after about 3 months. That's a way better time frame. Besides, in my opinion, the whole gameplay structure of Battlefield Hardline was a lot more varied. You had, for example, way more vertical gameplay. You even had a grappling hook and a zipline gadget, which in my opinion was really cool. Also, customization was a big thing in Battlefield Hardline. Besides the regular weapon customization, we also got the so-called gun bench. This was a place where you could fully customize your soldier and your weapon with custom skins, attachments, you name it. So in terms of customization, Battlefield Hardline definitely takes the cake. Final rating. Now let's talk about my baby, Battlefield 4. Again, to make a long story short, Battlefield 4 ended up with a total of 111 weapons, not counting the launchers such as the RPG. So out of the 3 most recent Battlefield titles, Battlefield 4 had the most weapons. By the way, I'm not gonna bother going any way further back in Battlefield titles, otherwise this video is gonna be a couple of hours long. Battlefield 4 also ended up with 33 maps in total, and none of them are exclusive to a certain game mode. And speaking of game modes, there were 15 of them in total, including game modes like Capture the Flag and Gunmaster, one of my favorite game modes of all time. A total of 49 gadgets were present in Battlefield 4 and about 7 single player missions. Again, more than Battlefield 1, although the campaign itself was trashed, so I don't really care. Now that's all great and all, but it goes deeper than that. In Battlefield 4 you had helicopters, unlike in Battlefield 1, you had planes, unlike in Battlefield Hardline, you had extreme long range sniping, which again was not really present in Battlefield 1 and Battlefield Hardline. You had way more vertical gameplay than Battlefield 1, weapon customization unlike in Battlefield 1, though Battlefield Hardline takes the cake in that. You had more weapons, more maps, more game modes, more gadgets, basically everything more. This alone makes the game so much more enjoyable than other Battlefield titles. You know, it doesn't really get stale that quickly. I mean, come on, the game is like 5 to 6 years old and it's still going strong. There's a reason for that. I mean, we didn't even mention the fact that you can alter your vehicle's loadouts however you want. There are no presets. And don't even get me started about the gunplay. Now obviously the question of this video was how much content is enough content, but more specifically how much content should Battlefield 5 have? Well, looking at the past 3 Battlefield games, I think it's safe to say that Battlefield 4 is the overall winner when it comes to actual content and diverse gameplay. Honestly, we don't know yet how much content Battlefield 5 is going to receive, but let me tell you this, we are getting weapon customization, that's a fact, we are getting soldier customization, I'm pretty sure everybody knows that by now.
Hello old friend.
We will see the return of the fan favorite game mode Operations, and they are even gonna expand on this with Grand Operations. Now whether or not we will see the return of game modes like Gunmaster, only time will tell, but we do know that we are getting the most popular game mode in the world right now.
It's Royale.
All jokes aside, I really am excited for Battlefield Battle Royale. I hope that it's gonna be an awesome experience and not just some silly cash grabs like this garbage of a game. I mean, what even is this? So yeah guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What kind of specific content elements you want to see in Battlefield 5? Do you maybe want to see a certain game mode, maybe a new type of gameplay dimension, stuff like that? Let me know down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe and notifications on if you haven't already. Oh, and I forgot to give my final rating for Battlefield 4. So Battlefield 1 received a...
Hello old friend.
Battlefield Hardline received a... And since Battlefield 4 is the clear winner, it gets rated a big fat...